5 minutes before my best friend walked down the aisle, I found out her groom was cheating with someone standing right beside her, and I had to choose ruin her wedding or her life. I still remember the scent of jasmine and vanilla in the air that morning, the kind of fragrance that clings to memories forever. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my best friend Maya's life. We'd planned it for months, right down to the shade of the bridesmaids' dresses and the timing of the first dance. Everything felt like a dream we had built together. I was her maid of honor, her emotional anchor, the one who knew every secret and every heartbreak she'd ever survived. Maya wasn't just a friend, she was my sister by choice. Watching her in that white lace gown, her eyes sparkling with nervous joy, I felt proud, like I'd helped her build her fairy tale. The venue was breathtaking. White roses lined the aisle, soft golden lights floated above, and the gentle hum of a string quartet wrapped around us like a lullaby. Everyone was laughing, sipping champagne, taking photos. I was running around, fixing last-minute details like an over-caffeinated event planner. Then there was Ryan, the groom. Handsome, charming, perfectly polite. I'd always liked him, or at least I wanted to. He made Maya glow in a way I hadn't seen in years. But something about him had always felt too smooth, like a glass surface that reflected just enough but never revealed what was underneath. Still, today wasn't about doubts. It was about love. Or so I thought. I went to check on Maya just before the ceremony. She was pacing, holding her bouquet a little too tightly. "I can't believe this is actually happening," she said, her voice trembling between laughter and tears. "It's happening," I smiled, adjusting her veil. "You're about to marry your forever person." She squeezed my hand, her eyes misting. "Thank you for everything, Anya. I couldn't have done this without you." I told her I loved her, meant it with every fiber of my being, and left to grab her phone, which she'd forgotten in the bridal suite. That's when everything started to unravel. The phone buzzed in my hand just as I picked it up, a message flashing across the lock screen. I almost ignored it, but then I saw the name. Ryan. And the message underneath read, "Don't forget to meet me behind the hall before the ceremony. I need to see you. You look beautiful in that dress." My heart froze. Ryan wasn't texting Maya, he was texting someone else. And the worst part? I recognized that contact photo. It was Lila, one of the bridesmaids, Maya's cousin. For a second, I just stood there, staring at the screen, my hands trembling. The music outside swelled as the guests started to take their seats, and in that perfect, glittering chaos, I realized I was holding a secret that could destroy everything. If you found a message like that moments before your best friend's wedding, would you tell her immediately or wait until after the ceremony? My throat went dry, the kind of dryness that feels like you swallowed sand. For a second, I thought maybe I'd misread it. Maybe there was another Ryan. Maybe Lila's phone somehow had Maya's contact picture. I wanted it to be a mistake so badly. But when I opened the message thread, the truth hit like cold steel. Hundreds of texts, late night, "I miss you" messages, selfies, plans, even voice notes. My fingers scrolled faster than my mind could process. It wasn't a fling, it wasn't confusion. It was a full-blown affair. My stomach churned as I read one line over and over. "You look so good in that bridesmaid dress. It's hard not to stare even when she's around." I felt sick. Lila had been smiling all morning, helping Maya fix her train, hugging her like family, while knowing she was the reason Ryan's vows would mean nothing. The door creaked open, and I nearly dropped the phone. It was Lila. She stood there in her pale pink bridesmaid gown, her lips glossed, her curls perfect. She froze for a moment when she saw me holding Maya's phone. Her eyes darted to the screen, and she knew. I didn't speak at first. I just stared. My pulse thudded so loud it drowned out everything else. "How long?" I finally asked, my voice shaking. She hesitated, then sighed, whispering like she was confessing something ordinary. "A few months. It just happened. You wouldn't understand, Anya. Ryan and I didn't plan this." I laughed. It wasn't funny. It was bitter, sharp, broken. "Didn't plan it? You were sleeping with your cousin's fiancée, Lila. She trusted you." Her face hardened. "You think she's perfect?" Ryan told me things. The fights, how she never listens, how he felt unseen. I didn't mean to fall for him, but I did. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The excuses, the calm tone, as if she hadn't just shattered someone's life. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her, but instead, I whispered, "You're going to tell her." Right now, she stepped closer, her perfume sweet and suffocating. "No, you won't ruin this for her, Anya. Let her have her day. She doesn't have to know." My hands clenched. "You think she'd want to marry a liar? You think I'll stand there and smile while she vows her life to someone who's been cheating with you?" Her eyes narrowed. "If you tell her, you'll destroy her. She'll never forgive you for humiliating her in front of everyone." For a moment, I froze, because she was right. If I said something now, it would ruin everything Maya had dreamed of. But staying silent would be worse. The wedding coordinator knocked. "We're ready to start in 5 minutes." Lila smiled, straightened her dress, and said softly, "Let's not make a scene, okay?" As she walked out, I looked down at the phone one last time, and that's when another message appeared. "I'll meet you behind the hall in 2 minutes. I can't stop thinking about you." My breath caught. He was waiting for her, right now. If you caught the groom texting another woman minutes before the ceremony, would you confront him directly or go to the bride first? I didn't think. My feet just moved. The music had already begun outside, the soft, graceful prelude to what everyone thought would be a perfect wedding. Guests were settling into their seats. The flower girls were lining up, and somewhere, Maya was probably adjusting her veil one last time. She had no idea her entire life was about to split in half. I slipped out through the back door, the sound of my heels echoing faintly against the marble floor. My heart was hammering. Behind the hall, a small garden stretched out, decorated with fairy lights and white ribbons. And there he was, Ryan. He stood under the archway, looking every bit the charming groom. Perfect suit, hair slicked back, that confident smile that could melt anyone. He checked his watch, then his phone, clearly waiting. When he looked up and saw me instead of Lila, the expression on his face changed instantly. Surprise, then guilt, then that cold mask of calm he always wore when caught off guard. Anya, he said, straightening his jacket. Everything okay? You look, tense. I almost laughed at that. Tense? That's one way to describe finding out the groom's cheating 5 minutes before vows. His jaw tightened. What are you talking about? I held up Maya's phone. Don't act dumb. I saw the messages, Ryan. Between you and Lila. He took a slow breath, his charm flickering but not dying. Anya, you don't understand. No, I snapped. You don't understand. That woman inside loves you. She thinks today is the start of forever, and you're sneaking around with her cousin? He rubbed his temple, exhaling hard. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Lila and I, it just got complicated. Maya and I have been distant. You know how stressed she's been? I couldn't believe it. So that's your excuse? She was stressed, so you betrayed her? He looked at me, almost pleading. I love Maya, I really do. Today is about us. Please don't ruin it. Something inside me broke. His words, don't ruin it, as if the wedding was more important than the truth, as if his lies were worth protecting. I took a step closer, my voice low but steady. You already ruined it, Ryan. The second you chose to cheat. He tried to reach for the phone, but I pulled it back. You don't get to control this anymore, and I said, you're going to tell her. Before she walks down that aisle for a moment, he just stared at me. Then he smiled faintly, like a man who still thought he could talk his way out. Anya, think about her, about how humiliated she'll feel. You'll destroy her in front of everyone. Don't make this about you being the hero. And just like that, I realized something. He wasn't scared of losing Maya. He was scared of losing his image. So I said quietly, then you tell her. Or I will. His eyes hardened. You'll regret that. I walked away before he could say another word. If you were in Anya's place, would you still go through with exposing him publicly? Or give him one last chance to come clean privately? When I walked back inside, my hands were shaking so badly I had to clutch the railing just to steady myself. The sound of the wedding march floated through the air like a cruel joke. Guests were rising, smiling, phones out, ready to capture a moment that shouldn't happen. And there was Maya, radiant, standing at the entrance, her father by her side, her eyes glistening with happy tears. I'd never seen her so beautiful, or so unaware. My chest tightened. Every instinct in me screamed to stop this, to pull her aside, to make her see the truth before she stepped into a life built on lies. But her smile, that pure, hopeful smile, it broke me. Anya? She whispered as I approached. Everything okay? You look pale, I forced a shaky smile. Just nerves, I guess. You look perfect. Her fingers brushed mine. Don't make me cry now. We've come too far for that. She was right. We had come far, through heartbreaks, job losses, endless nights talking about love, loyalty, and dreams. And now she was seconds away from marrying someone who had betrayed every one of those ideals. Behind her, the bridesmaids lined up. Lila stood there, expression perfectly calm, pretending she didn't just destroy everything sacred. Her eyes met mine briefly. A silent warning. I wanted to scream. Then the coordinator nodded. It's time. Maya took a deep breath. Her father squeezed her hand. The doors opened. Music swelled. And I stood there, frozen. Watching her take that first step down the aisle felt like watching someone walk into a storm blindfolded. Ryan stood at the altar, his expression composed, his fake smile perfectly rehearsed. No trace of guilt, no sign of hesitation. Every step she took felt heavier. My pulse pounded louder than the music. The guests were smiling, whispering, snapping photos. I looked around at all those happy faces and wanted to yell, stop clapping. This isn't love. When she finally reached him, their hands met. He looked at her the way a liar looks at someone they know they're fooling. And she looked at him like he was her world. The priest began speaking, words about love, truth, and commitment. They sounded like cruel jokes now. I couldn't breathe. Then Ryan's phone buzzed, just once. A small, quick vibration. I saw his eyes flick downward, just for a second. And across the aisle, Lila smiled faintly. It was like the world stopped moving. My decision made itself. I wasn't letting this continue. As the priest said, if anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage. I stepped forward. My voice came out steady, though my heart was about to explode. I do. The room went silent. Every head turned. Maya's eyes widened in confusion. Ryan froze. And in that moment, I knew there was no turning back. Would you have interrupted the ceremony like Anya did? Or waited until after to reveal the truth? The sound that followed was nothing. Absolute, stunned silence. Even the music seemed to choke mid-note. Every eye in that glittering hall turned to me as if I'd just set fire to the altar. Maya's hand slipped from Ryan's, her face pale with confusion. Anya? She whispered, her voice trembling. What are you doing? I swallowed hard, my chest tight, but my voice didn't shake. I can't let you do this, Maya. Not with him. The priest blinked awkwardly, clutching his book. Perhaps we should... But I wasn't backing down. You deserve to know the truth before you say, I do. Ryan stepped forward quickly, his fake smile cracking. Anya, enough. This isn't the time for whatever misunderstanding you think. I held up Maya's phone, the screen still lit with his messages. No misunderstandings, Ryan. Just lies. Lies between you and her. I turned my gaze toward Lila. The crowd followed. The color drained from her face. Maya looked between us, her lips parting in disbelief. What? What are you talking about? I handed her the phone. Read it. Read what your fiancé has been doing with your cousin. Gasps rippled through the room as she scrolled. Her hands began to shake, her breath uneven. Ryan reached out. Babe, I can explain. Don't you dare touch me. She snapped, her voice slicing through the silence. Lila's eyes filled with tears, or maybe fear. Maya, please. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like? Maya's voice cracked. You've been sleeping with him. The hall erupted. Whispers, gasps. Someone even dropped a glass. Ryan's parents stood frozen, mortified. Guests looked away awkwardly, some pretending not to stare while everyone clearly was. I felt my heart pounding in my throat, but I didn't regret it. Maya needed to know, no matter how ugly the truth looked. Ryan tried to regain control. This is ridiculous. Anya, you've always been jealous. Jealous? I stepped closer, fury burning in every word. You cheat on my best friend and I'm the problem? Maya was trembling now, her makeup streaking down her cheeks. How could you, Ryan? How could you do this to me? He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. His perfect composure was finally cracking. Lila tried to approach Maya, but I stepped in front of her. Don't even think about it. Maya's bouquet fell from her hands, scattering petals across the floor. Everyone, please, just go, she whispered. Her father hurried forward, guiding her toward the side room, shielding her from the eyes and the cameras now capturing everything. Ryan followed, but she stopped him cold. You go near me again, she said, voice shaking but fierce. And I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. The crowd parted. Ryan stood there, speechless, watching the woman he'd just lost walk away. And for the first time that day, the truth was louder than the music. If you were Maya, would you forgive your best friend for exposing the truth in front of everyone? Or feel betrayed by how she did it? The moment the doors closed behind Maya, the energy in the hall collapsed like a stage after the show. The guests began whispering in clusters, their voices sharp with gossip, shock, and disbelief. The fairy tale wedding was gone, replaced by tension thick enough to choke on. Ryan stood frozen near the altar, his hands clenched into fists, jaw tight. Lila hovered by the corner, her mascara running, her carefully curled hair now sticking to her face. Every inch of her screamed guilt, though she tried to look fragile, like a victim instead of a thief. I turned to face them both. You could have told her, I said quietly. You both had chances. But you didn't. You wanted her to live in a lie. Lila looked up, her voice trembling. Anya, you didn't have to do it like that. You embarrassed everyone. I cut her off. No, Lila. You embarrassed everyone. You stood there pretending to be family while sleeping with her fiancé. You smiled in her photos. You helped plan her wedding dress. Do you even understand what you did? Her tears spilled freely now, but I didn't care. I'd seen Maya's face when she realized what was happening. The shock, the disbelief, the pain. That was real. Everything else was performance. Ryan finally spoke, his voice low, angry. You think you helped her? You just humiliated her in front of everyone. Do you realize what kind of damage you've done? I turned toward him slowly. You're still trying to make this my fault? He sighed, the calmness in his tone almost sinister. You've always hated me, Anya. Always thought you knew what's best for Maya. You're not her savior. You just ruined her life for attention. My stomach twisted, but I refused to let him win. No, Ryan. I ruined your mask. That's the difference. The coordinator came over nervously, whispering something about escorting guests out, refunding the catering, and dealing with the chaos later. But I couldn't move. I watched as Ryan and Lila avoided each other's eyes, trapped in the silence they'd created. Aunties muttered as they left, camera flashes still going off. Someone whispered, that poor girl, right before the vows. Another murmured, I knew that groom looked too slick. When the hall finally emptied, I went to find Maya. She was in the dressing room, sitting in front of the mirror. Her veil was off, her lipstick smudged, her eyes distant. The strong, confident Maya I'd known all my life looked like a shadow of herself. I sat beside her quietly. No words felt right. After a long pause, she spoke, her voice hollow. You knew before the ceremony, didn't you? I nodded. Just minutes before. I saw the messages. I confronted him. She looked at me through the mirror, tears brimming again. And you still let me walk down that aisle? My throat tightened. I didn't know how to stop it. Until I had no choice. She turned her gaze away, whispering, I don't know whether to thank you or hate you. If you were Maya, would you see Anya's actions as loyalty or betrayal in disguise? Her words cut through me deeper than anything Ryan or Lila could have said. I don't know whether to thank you or hate you. They echoed in my head over and over, each syllable twisting like a blade. Maya didn't look at me after that. She just stared at her reflection, at the woman who should have been a bride but now sat in a torn dress surrounded by wilted flowers and broken dreams. I wanted to reach for her hand, but I didn't. Not yet. I thought I was doing the right thing, I whispered, my voice barely there. She gave a small, bitter laugh. Right thing? Anya, you humiliated me, in front of everyone. My family, his family, the entire town. I'll be a headline by evening. I know, I said quietly. But if I hadn't, you'd be married to a liar. Her eyes flickered to me then, soft but angry. Couldn't you have told me privately? Given me a choice? I tried, I said, shaking my head. He was already waiting for her. He planned to see Lila before the ceremony. He wasn't going to stop. I confronted him. He told me to keep quiet, that I'd ruin his day. I couldn't let that happen. Maya tears spilled down her cheeks again, and she pressed a hand to her chest like she was trying to hold herself together. You could have at least let me fall apart in private. Now everyone's seen it. There was nothing I could say. She was right in a way. The truth had saved her, but also destroyed her world in front of hundreds. The door opened slightly. Lila stepped in, eyes red, voice trembling. Maya, please, can we talk? Maya didn't even look at her. No, you've said enough. Lila stepped closer, ignoring me completely. It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean to hurt you. Maya stood abruptly, her chair scraping the floor. You didn't mean to? You had months to stop. You had every chance. You weren't drunk or confused or lonely. You were in my house helping me plan this wedding while sneaking around with my fiancé. Her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. You smiled in my face and called me sister. And the worst part, I believed you. Lila broke down crying, but Maya just stood there, her tears finally gone, her voice turning cold. Get out. Both of you. I need to breathe. I hesitated. Maya. Please, Anya, she said quietly, her voice shaking but firm. Just go. I can't think right now. So I left. I stepped out into the empty hallway where the laughter and music had once lived. Now there was only silence and the faint scent of crushed roses. And for the first time since the chaos began, I felt the weight of what I'd done. Not regret, but something heavier. The truth had cost her everything. Do you think Anya did the right thing by revealing the truth publicly, even if it destroyed Maya's moment? Or should some truths be told in private? The next morning felt unreal. The headlines had already spread. Bride calls off wedding at the altar. Maid of honor exposes affair in shocking scene. There were pictures, videos, and even slow-motion clips circulating online. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone thought they knew what happened, but only 3 people knew the truth. Me, Maya, and Lila. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Some messages were supportive. You did the right thing, while others were cruel. You ruined a woman's life for drama. I didn't open most of them. I just sat on my couch, still wearing the same dress from the night before, watching the morning light spill through my window, feeling empty. I had told the truth. I had protected my best friend. So why did it feel like I'd lost her too? I finally texted her. I'm here if you want to talk. No reply. Hours passed. Still nothing. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to her apartment. When she opened the door, she looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept at all. Her eyes were puffy, her hair a mess, and she wore one of Ryan's old hoodies that she probably hadn't thrown out yet. Maya. I started softly. She didn't say anything at first, just stepped aside, letting me in. The place was silent, except for the faint hum of the fridge. The wedding photos that had been on her coffee table were gone, every trace of that day wiped clean. I didn't sleep, she said quietly, sitting on the couch. I kept replaying everything, every look, every word. Trying to figure out how long they fooled me, I sat across from her. You didn't deserve any of it. She smiled weakly. You know what hurts the most? It's not even losing him. It's knowing that everyone saw me fall apart, that everyone will remember me as the girl whose wedding got ruined. I felt my throat tighten. People will forget, Maya. But if you had married him, the pain would have lasted forever. She stared at me for a long time, then finally said, I know you meant well, Anya. I know you did it out of love, but it'll take me a while to forgive you for how you did it. That hit harder than I expected. I understand, I said quietly. I just couldn't let him get away with it. She nodded slowly, her eyes distant. You were brave. I just wish your bravery didn't cost me my peace. We sat there in silence, two best friends separated by truth. Outside, the city went on as if nothing had happened, as if yesterday hadn't shattered someone's world. When I finally left, she hugged me, brief, fragile, uncertain, like a goodbye and a thank you in the same breath. I didn't know if we'd ever be the same again. If you were Maya, would you eventually forgive Anya for the public exposure? Or would that trust be gone forever? A week later, the world had moved on. The news cycle had shifted. The gossip died down, and yet, the silence felt heavier than ever. My phone barely rang now. The adrenaline that had fueled me that night had turned into quiet guilt. I kept checking Maya's social media, half hoping for a sign that she was okay. Her accounts were wiped clean. No wedding photos, no engagement posts, nothing. It was like she was erasing the last year of her life. Then one morning, a message popped up from Maya. Maya, can we meet? My heart skipped. I drove to the cafe where we used to hang out in college, the one with mismatched chairs and fairy lights that always flickered near the window. When I walked in, she was already there, sitting by the corner, her hands wrapped around a coffee cup like it was the only warmth left in her life. She looked different, not broken this time, just calmer, like someone who had cried enough and was finally ready to breathe again. I sat across from her, nervous. Hey, she said quietly. Thanks for coming. There was a pause. Then she smiled faintly. You know, my mom told me I should be angry with you forever. I swallowed. And are you? She looked down, stirring her coffee. I was. But then I realized, if you hadn't done what you did, I would have married a liar. I would have spent my whole life wondering why something always felt off. You saved me from that relief washed over me so suddenly that I almost teared up. I never wanted to hurt you. I just couldn't watch him betray you like that. I know, she said softly. It just took me time to see it. We sat there for hours talking, not about Ryan, not about the wedding, but about everything else. Work, family, random memories. It felt almost normal again. At one point she laughed, a real laugh this time, and it hit me how much I'd missed that sound. Then she said something that stayed with me. You know, it's funny. I thought my wedding day would be the happiest day of my life. Turns out it was the day I found out who truly loved me enough to tell me the truth. That sentence broke something open inside me. The guilt, the fear, the uncertainty, all of it faded. Maya wasn't just healing. She was stronger now. When we left the cafe, she hugged me tightly. Thank you, Anya, for being the kind of friend I didn't know I needed. And for the first time since that chaotic day, I smiled without hesitation. Always, I whispered. That's what friends are for. As I watched her walk away, sunlight spilling across her shoulders, I realized something beautiful. Sometimes love doesn't come from romance or vows. Sometimes it comes from standing by someone when their world falls apart and helping them build a new one from the ruins. If you were in Maya's place, would you ever trust someone new again? Or would you focus only on rebuilding yourself first? Months passed. The chaos faded into memory and life slowly found a new rhythm. Maya moved to a new apartment on the other side of the city, started a new job, and began seeing a therapist. She was rebuilding piece by piece, and for once, she wasn't rushing the process. As for me, I threw myself into work, but something had shifted inside. I wasn't the same girl who sat quietly watching life unfold around her. I'd faced confrontation, truth, and heartbreak all in one night, and somehow it had awakened something fierce in me. Maya and I started meeting again every week. We'd sit at our favorite cafe, order the same caramel lattes, and talk for hours. Some days we'd laugh till we cried. Other days we just sat in silence, understanding each other without needing words. One afternoon, as we were sipping coffee, Maya looked up and said, You know, I've been thinking, maybe one day I'll forgive myself too. I frowned slightly. Forgive yourself? For what? For ignoring all the red flags, for thinking love meant overlooking lies, for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. She smiled faintly. You saved me from a lifetime of pretending, Anya. I want to learn how to save myself next time. That moment right there, watching her speak with such quiet strength, made everything worth it. The drama, the heartbreak, the whispers, it had all led her here. Later that evening, I went for a walk alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky in streaks of gold and coral, and I couldn't help but think back to that wedding day. The chaos, the truth, the courage it took to step forward. I used to believe exposing Ryan would ruin everything, but it didn't. It just revealed what was already broken. A few days later, I got a message from Maya. Guess what? I'm starting a blog about relationships, truth, and healing. I want people to know they're not alone. I smiled reading it. That was so her, turning pain into purpose. And then she added, you should help me write it. You've got away with words, I laughed, typing back, deal. But only if you promise to add a section called Brides Who Dodged Bullets. Her reply came with a laughing emoji and a heart. That's how it began, a new chapter, not defined by betrayal, but by growth, truth, and friendship. Sometimes I still think about Ryan and Lila. Last I heard, they didn't last long. Lies rarely do. But I don't hate them anymore. They taught us both something vital, that honesty, no matter how painful, is the real act of love. And as I looked at the first draft of Maya's blog with her words glowing on the screen, I realized this was the happy ending. Not the wedding, not revenge, but two women who found their strength in truth and in each other. If you were in Anya's place, would you expose the truth publicly like she did, or handle it privately, even if it meant the lies continued?